So hello, folks. My name is Aaron Kulbe. I work as the buzzword DevOps engineer for a telecom company based out of Alaska, as well as having my own company doing automation consulting. I'm I I think that I'm an okay developer, but I am a sysadmin by experience and also a former fruit company fan. I don't know if any of you have ever been in a position where you um, had a hard deadline on a project and your trusted tools broke down, but that was me my first week of self-employment. So my laptop had to go in for repair and I had to switch tools real fast. And my primary concern was, can I do my job? So um, I exist to make sure that the real programmers have the infrastructure they need to get their applications to market. And uh, the tools that I use the most to get the job done are Ansible and Chef. So let's see, where was I? There we go. I am a big fan of Windows Terminal, and um, when I first got started, I wasn't sure, if I'd have everything I needed on Windows to get the job done. I was looking for things similar to Mac specific tools, as that was the platform that I was really used to. And, I looked at things like ConEMU, Hyper, and things like that. And then when Microsoft announced the advent of WSL, I was floored because that would give me what I needed. At least I hoped it would give me what I needed to do my job really effectively. I'm assuming that a lot of you already know what Danceable is, how it works. Typically, you start out with an inventory of machines, and then you define plays that you want to run against them. So I've created some virtual machines on local infrastructure here. I won't do the cloning operation that I would normally do to set this up. I just wanted to give you the opportunity to see how it works. I created 3 groups of 3 different machine types, one for apps, one for databases, and another for web servers. The goal initially was to try and do an application of a Rails app, but I was short on time, so I've done some more general things here. We're going to deploy Nginx to the app servers, MariaDB, and then Apache to the web servers. So let's see here. First thing I will first thing I'll do here, wanting to I'm not sure why it's activating the screenshot. There we go. Sorry, my apologies. Okay, so the first thing you want to do before you do any deployments is do a check and make sure that the actions that you intend to perform are what's actually going to happen. It'll run through the list of machines in your inventory and then give you some output green and yellow is typically good. Um, the operations for Ansible are idempotent. So if it goes to a machine and checks to see if things are installed already, it'll skip that. So bear with me as I okay. Just to give you some idea of the structure here. Come on. It goes through a thing that you tell it to do in the playbooks. And checks to see if what, if anything, based on the definition that you have in place. You define what you want done. In your it basically checks to see what, if anything, needs to be done and then goes to do it. Remove that and it'll actually perform those actions. Now, one of the things that you can do as well is you can perform actions based on groups. You have the opportunity to define your inventory in an INI format, which is what I have here, or you can do it in YAML as well. And you can run plays based on any particular group that you put in here. And there are other options that you can specify, and variables that are specific to particular hosts or particular groups. And one of the things that is really big and commonly used in Ansible is Ansible Galaxy. They have roles that different developers are, they basically publish their code so that you can reuse it and not have to reinvent the wheel every single time. So I would highly recommend, if you're going to do Ansible related stuff, check out Ansible Galaxy and reuse code. Steal it, be efficient. There are ways to do that. Also for Chef has a similar feature. They call it the Chef Supermarket, where developers will publish their cookbooks so that you can just inherit them in the wrapper cookbook that you write, so that you don't have to, again, reinvent the wheel. This is going to go through, taking a minute because Yeah, there we go. Not exactly the fastest infrastructure here either. We can check. One, 32. These are happening on virtual machines that I installed on my local VM host here. So, okay. And then if you have errors, as I do here, it'll display in red, and then you can go back to the code and fix whatever you got wrong. I got the name of the service wrong for HTTPD for Apache on the web servers, and you fix this. When you rerun the code the next time around, it will skip everything that it's done already and just start those services. I think that's it for me, Hayden.
Can you give us one or two like use cases for Ansible that you use like in your job?
We had one particular situation where we had a very large network management system that basically the mandate from up above was automate as much as you can and create repeatable, reusable deployment code. And this particular platform was a network management system by a vendor that they specifically designed it to not be automated, and they were we tried to get information from them on how to get it done. They were just flat out uncooperative. We didn't design this for automation. We're not going to help you. It's a stupid idea. So we had originally tried to do it with Chef, and the difference, I don't know if folks who have used Ansible are also familiar with Chef. The biggest difference between the two is without Tower or AWX involved, the model is basically a push model with Ansible. It
Right.
doesn't phone home, and there's no agent necessary for installation. It only uses SSH or WinRM as the communication protocol, and you push it out once, and then you're good. We typically use it for a lot of day two operations where state isn't as important, like we're trying to do database operations where we're setting up schema the first time around, and we also, after an initial run of trying to set up this network management system with Chef, we decided that Ansible was a better tool and basically worked through all the steps to maintain the entire platform with Ansible, not just do the deployment piece. So when the vendor pushes out packages to update the platform with, we actually use their API to push those packages out to the system and make more API calls that actually do the upgrade pieces. So if you're doing a lot of day two stuff where state isn't as big of a concern, I think Ansible's really good. The other thing is Chef has what I would consider a pretty steep learning curve. Um, to get really good at it, pardon me, to get really good at it and do more of the complex stuff, you need to be good with Ruby. It's
Right.
easier to get from zero to productive with Ansible, in my opinion. So even if your automation tasks are just simple things, um, I would recommend starting with Ansible first. I think that should be the place that most companies start their automation journey is with Ansible instead of the other solutions. Now, of course, that's not always the most practical way to go. Some companies have already sunk investment into Chef or Puppet licensing or vendors that they work with. Those are the only configuration management platforms that they support. But seriously, Ansible's way easier than the others.
Well, we have some questions for you that goes
Sure.
to that effect. Have you compared Puppet to Ansible and seen any advantages to using Ansible over Puppet?
Puppet is the one that I don't have the experience with. However, it's a Ruby DSL just like Chef. Now, we had a local meetup, a PDX DevOps meetup, I want to say 3-4 years ago, and we were meeting at a consulting company that works with clients, helping them do automation work, and they work with all the solutions, all the big ones: Ansible, Chef, Puppet, and also SaltStack. Those are the big 3 or 4 names. And I asked one of the guys there, "What's the difference between Chef and Puppet?" And he was a former Puppet employee, and he actually said uh, he said the same thing. I think most people should start out with Ansible. Uh, Puppet is very boxy in that they give you a lot of canned configurations to do regular operations with. And he said, Chef is like a toolbox with lots of tools and a long rope to hang yourself with
Hmm.
because you can easily over engineer. So
Right.
I started with Chef, and
Okay.
my experience, my journey to becoming more of a developer has been with Jeff and learning Ruby, and I discovered Ansible after the fact. And I find Ansible, like I said, it's way easier to get from zero to productive with Ansible. And it's easier to understand when you write it as well. Yes, it's
Right.
YAML, and I know folks don't like YAML, but if you're not familiar with Rubyisms, then Chef and Puppet might be a harder sell and more of a learning curve.
Right. We had two related questions, one from
Sure.
Dave and one in the chat. And that is, have you had any specific challenges? Yeah, JR was the other question. Have you had any specific challenges using Ansible on WSL that you've had to work around?
Not so far. Um,
And is that because of how it's a push model? You're pushing from WSL to your systems?
that and it's just been really easy to install. Install Python. Python 3 pip, and then pip install Ansible. I mean, obviously, good practice is typically to put it inside a virtual environment, but initially I didn't do that. I wanted to just get it going as quickly as possible, so I used System Python for it, but it was super easy to get going.
Yep. Another question, have you used Ansible to configure any Windows hosts yet?
Not yet. And
Yeah.
also not any network appliances yet, but the Windows hosts are very soon coming. I will publish a link to my repo and put the code that I used for this in a repo, and I'll update it with the Windows specific stuff once I get somewhere with that. But I haven't done any
Yeah.
Windows stuff yet.
Well, it's interesting because with Ansible, you can use WinRM, the WinRM
Yeah.
layer via PowerShell, and you can actually install chocolaty packages, which is a package manager for Windows. And then we make a chocolaty package, and in fact, several of the distros have WSL chocolaty packages. So you can actually use Ansible on WSL to remotely install WSL on third-party devices. So it's a pretty powerful platform.
I don't know anything about chocolaty.
Yeah, yeah, no.
I stopped sharing my screen. Sorry.
Oh, you're fine.
I actually I have a paid license for chocolaty and love it. It's helped me do Windows automation more. So it's fantastic.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Very cool. Oh, yep, we're getting a lot of love for chocolaty. If there's any more questions we had, I don't think we did. Someone agreed with you. Puppet is very extensible, but administrative overhead is higher. Can you talk a bit about other management frameworks, Terraform or Palumi? Palumi is new to me.
I am not familiar with Palumi.
Yeah, neither am I.
But I do use Terraform as well. I've set up a proof of concept recently with the employer because we are more a VMware shop than anything else right now. We're currently using the vRealize suite to do provisioning with, and vRealize automation. At least our implementation of it has been interesting. I'll put it that way.
Yeah.
So I've been commissioned to do a demo of VM provisioning with Terraform, and we're also moving some of our workloads into public cloud. So that'll come in handy there.
Yep.
Palumi, that one doesn't ring a bell.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to look that one up later too. All right. Hang on, we got a response. Palumi is infrastructure as code, meaning direct API rather than an intermediary DSL. Still gonna have to look it up.
Same here.
But thanks, Dave. All right. So, any other questions or comments for Aaron? And then while people type those up, where can they find you?
Is Ansible to handle window hosts mature? Let's see. Any advice on running Ansible in WSL targeted at the Windows host? So, Dave, do you mean targeted back at the Windows host that the WSL instance is running on? Is that what you mean? I've never tried that. That seems like a case of inception for sure.
Yeah.
Is Ansible to handle Windows hosts mature?
I think it's early because it's very basic PowerShell and packages. It's nowhere near group policy or DSC or any of the other tools that most Windows developers are used to.
I think Chef is more mature in that respect as well, and we are early in our journey to use Chef for Windows management, but DSC DSC handles updates well, but it doesn't handle all the package management like Chef does. So we're going to be using a mixture of both. But yeah, like Hayden said, with Ansible and Windows management, it's still pretty early, I would say, and limited in what you can do with it. But I expect that to change because Ansible, um, I think it's arguably the most popular configuration management framework, at least at this point. Puppet is trying to give it a run for its money with Bolt, but like I said, I don't have Puppet experience yet.
But where can people find you on Twitter?
A Kulbe, AKULBE on Twitter.